My mom told me to stay out of grown folks' business. I didn't listen, and now she's begging me to keep quiet. So, this all started because I got nosy. My mom always told me to stay out of grown folks' business, but you know how it is. When somebody keeps telling you not to do something, it makes you want to do it even more. I don't even know why I did it, really. I was just chilling in my room, scrolling through my phone, and then I heard my mom on the phone. At first, I wasn't even paying attention, but then her tone changed. It was low, kind of stressed, not her usual gossip voice. That's when I turned off my fan real slow so I could hear better. She kept saying stuff like, "I don't want him to know, and we have to handle it before it gets out." When I hear my own mom talking like that, how am I supposed to ignore it? I had a bad feeling immediately. She kept talking, pacing around the living room, and then I heard something that made my whole body freeze. She said my name, not like she was calling me, but like she was talking about me. That's when I sat up for real. I wanted to march out there and ask her what was going on, but I didn't. I waited, just listening. She told whoever was on the phone that she had kept it from me this long and that she was not about to let it ruin everything now. And I swear, my heart started beating so fast, I thought it was going to come out my chest. What was she keeping from me? What could possibly ruin everything? I sat there trying to process it, but my brain was moving too slow. I needed to know more. I slid off my bed real quiet and crept towards the door. My house ain't big, so the hallway is short. By the time I got near, she had already finished the call. I barely caught the end of it, something like, "She'll figure it out." After she hung up, I didn't move, just stood there in the dark, trying to figure out everything. Here's the thing about eavesdropping, though. You can't just half listen. Once you start, you gotta commit. So that's what I did. That night, I made up my mind to find out exactly what she was hiding from me. I couldn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, my mind kept circling back to my mom's words. Kept it from him this long. Not about to let it ruin everything now. What was she talking about? What was she keeping from me? The next morning, I started watching her, not in an obvious way, but just paying extra attention. My mom's always been the type to keep things locked up tight. She don't really talk about personal stuff unless she has to. So if she was hiding something big, I knew she wasn't going to just slip up and tell me. I decided to check her phone. Yeah, I know, that's crossing the line. But at this point, I was already too deep. If she was keeping secrets, I needed to know what they were. She left her phone on the kitchen counter while she was in the shower. I had maybe 5 minutes max. My hands were literally shaking when I picked it up. I don't even know what I was expecting to find. A text, an email, a picture. I went straight to her messages. Nothing looked weird at first, just the usual. My aunt, some church people, her boss. Then I saw one name that stopped me. Unknown number. I clicked it. The first thing I saw was a message from last night. I almost dropped the phone. My heart started racing. The message was from her. I scrolled up. Most of the messages had been deleted, but a few were still there. Another one, and then the last one. I put the phone down so fast I almost knocked it off the counter. My hands were sweaty, and I felt lightheaded. Who was she talking to? What truth, and why was she so scared of me finding out? I knew right then and there I couldn't let it go. I had to find out what was going on. But the crazy part, I had no idea that the truth was way worse than anything I could have imagined. After I saw those messages, I couldn't even look at my mom the same. Every time she spoke to me, all I could hear was her voice in my head saying, "He can never know the truth." What truth? Why was it so bad that she was scared I'd hate her forever? I tried to act normal, but I know she noticed something was off. She kept looking at me weird, like she was trying to figure out if I knew something. I wasn't about to ask her, though. Not yet. If I wanted the truth, I had to get proof first. That's when I started searching the house. I know my mom. She don't trust banks like that, and she don't keep stuff in obvious places. If she was hiding something, it was somewhere deep, somewhere she thought I wouldn't check. So I started with her closet. It took me 2 days to even get the chance to go through her stuff. She don't leave the house much, but on Sunday, she went to a church meeting. Soon as she was gone, I went straight to her room. At first, I didn't find anything, just clothes, some old shoes, the usual. But then I noticed this small box pushed all the way to the back of her closet, behind some winter coats she never wears. It was taped shut, not locked, but like she wanted to make sure it stayed closed. I swear, my heart was beating so hard I could hear it in my ears. I pulled the box out, sat on the floor, and ripped the tape off. Inside, there were a bunch of old papers, some pictures, and a small envelope. I grabbed the envelope first. It felt heavy, like it had something inside. When I opened it, a few folded up documents fell out. The first one I picked up was a birth certificate. It had my name on it, my birthday. But then I saw something that made my whole body go cold. The section where it said, "Father's name," had a name I ain't never seen before. Not the man I grew up calling my dad. Not even close. I stared at it for a full minute, like maybe I was reading it wrong, like maybe there was some mistake. But it was right there, clear as day. I checked the other papers, more documents with the same name. Then I saw something even worse, court papers, something about legal guardianship, a petition for a name change. I felt sick, like I was about to throw up right there on my mom's bedroom floor. My whole life I thought my dad was, well, my dad. But now, here I was, holding proof that he wasn't. And my mom, she had been hiding it this whole time. That's when it hit me. That's what she was talking about on the phone. That's the truth she didn't want me to know. I sat there for a long time, just staring at the papers, my hands shaking. I didn't even realize how much time had passed until I heard the front door open. My mom was home. Soon as I heard the front door open, I panicked. I stuffed everything back in the box, but my hands were shaking so bad I couldn't get the tape to stick right. I just shoved it back in the closet and threw the coats over it. Then I ran to my room and sat on my bed, like I hadn't just had my whole life flipped upside down. I could hear my mom moving around in the kitchen, putting her purse down, probably making tea like she always does after church. My heart was still pounding. I felt sweaty, dizzy, like I wasn't even in my own body. I kept hearing her voice in my head. He can never know the truth. Well, now I knew, and I couldn't unknow it. I stayed in my room for maybe an hour, just staring at the wall, trying to process everything. I kept asking myself the same question over and over. Who is this man on my birth certificate? Was he dead? Did he leave? Did my mom lie to me this whole time because she had a good reason? Or was it something worse? I didn't know what to do. I thought about just walking out and asking her straight up, but I couldn't, not yet. I needed to be calm first, and right now, I wasn't calm. I was the complete opposite. I figured I'd wait until nighttime, when she went to bed. I could check the box again, go through every single paper carefully, maybe find out something I missed. But I didn't get the chance. Later that night, I was in bed, pretending to be asleep, when I heard my mom in the hallway. She was standing outside my door, not moving, not saying anything, just standing there. I held my breath, listening. Then I heard her walk away. At first, I thought maybe I imagined it, but when I woke up the next morning, I knew for sure I didn't. Because when I went to the kitchen, my mom was already sitting at the table, just staring at me. And the look on her face, she knew. She knew I had found out. I sat down at the table, but I couldn't look her in the eyes. My chest felt tight, like I was about to suffocate right there. My mom just sat there holding her coffee cup, not even drinking it, just staring. She didn't ask if I had been in her closet. She didn't ask if I had seen the papers. She just knew. And that scared me more than anything. I was waiting for her to say something, but she didn't. She just sighed real deep and rubbed her temples like she had the worst headache in the world. Then she finally spoke. She said, "I was hoping you'd never find out." That was it. No apology, no explanation. Just that one sentence. I felt something snap inside me. My whole life I believed one thing, and now, in a matter of hours, I knew it was a lie. And instead of trying to fix it, she was just sitting there, acting like I was the one who had done something wrong. I told her I saw everything. The birth certificate, the court papers, the name change. I told her I wanted answers. She looked at me for a long time, like she was deciding what to say. Then she shook her head and said, "It doesn't matter now." That made me so mad. I asked her how she could sit there and say it didn't matter when it was my life, my name, my father, whoever the hell he was. She got quiet. Then she said, "He doesn't exist to us." I felt cold all over. I asked her what that meant. Did he die? Did he leave? Was he some terrible person? She wouldn't answer. I kept pushing. I needed something, anything. But she just kept shaking her head, saying, "I did what I had to do." That's when I realized she wasn't going to tell me the truth. No matter how much I asked, she was going to keep lying or pretending like it wasn't a big deal. I couldn't take it. I got up from the table and went straight to her closet. I yanked the box out, not even caring if she saw me. I grabbed the papers and started looking through them again, trying to find something I missed. And then I saw it. A letter. It was folded up in the back of the box, kind of stuck between some old receipts. I pulled it out and opened it. The paper was yellow, like it had been there for years. The first line hit me like a punch to the gut. "I'm sorry I couldn't be there, but I never stopped looking for you." My hands started shaking so bad I could barely hold the letter. My mom snatched it out of my hand before I could finish reading. She crumpled it up and said, "You weren't supposed to see that." That's when I knew. My father didn't leave us. My mom took me away from him. After my mom snatched the letter, something in me snapped. I didn't care about staying calm anymore. I just kept saying, "You lied to me. You lied to me." Over and over. She kept telling me to drop it, that I didn't understand, that she did what was best for me. But how was I supposed to believe that? She had been lying my whole life. What else was she hiding? I asked her straight up, "Did my father look for me? Did you keep me from him?" She wouldn't answer. She just kept saying, "It's complicated." I grabbed my phone and told her I'd find him myself. I didn't even know where to start, but I didn't care. That's when she finally broke. She said, "He's not the man you think he is." I asked her what that meant. Was he dangerous? A criminal? She still wouldn't answer. She just kept saying she had to protect me. I snatched the letter from her hands and smoothed it out. The paper was wrinkled, but I could still read the words. "I don't know if you'll ever get this, but I need you to know I never stopped looking. I wanted to be there for you. I still do. I just hope one day you find me, before it's too late." That didn't sound like a bad man. That sounded like a father who never gave up. I looked at the bottom of the letter. No address, no number, just a name. A name I had never heard before. That's when I knew my mom had changed, more than just my last name. She had erased him completely. I asked her why she never told me about him. She just started crying. Not little sniffles, but full-on shaking, like she had been holding it in for years. She kept saying, "I didn't have a choice." I told her she did. She could have told me the truth. Then she said something that made my blood run cold. She said, "If you go looking for him, you might regret it." I just stood there staring at her. My own mother was warning me not to find my real father. That's how I knew whatever she was hiding was even worse than I thought. But at this point, I didn't care anymore. I was going to find him. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that letter. The way my mom tried to hide it, the way she warned me. It didn't matter what she said. I had already made up my mind. The next morning, I started searching. I typed my real father's name into Google, into Facebook, even into those random people finder websites. Nothing. It was like he didn't exist. I almost gave up. Then I had an idea. If my mom had gone through the trouble of changing my name legally, there had to be records, court papers, old addresses, something. I went back to the box in her closet and started going through everything again. That's when I found it, an old utility bill. It wasn't in my mom's name, it wasn't in mine either. It was in his. And it had an address. I stared at it for a long time, wondering if it was still good, if he was still there, if he was even alive. But I couldn't stop now. I wrote it down, grabbed my keys, and left. I didn't tell my mom where I was going. I didn't answer when she called. It was a 2-hour drive the whole time. My hands were sweaty. My stomach was in knots. I kept thinking, what if he slams the door in my face? What if he really is a bad person? But nothing could have prepared me for what actually happened. I pulled up to the house. It was small, kinda run down, like nobody had fixed it up in years. I sat in my car for a while, just staring. Then I got out and knocked. An old woman answered. She looked me up and down like she was trying to place me. I asked if the man on the letter lived there. She didn't answer right away, just stared at me. Then she said, "You're his son, aren't you?" My whole body went numb. I nodded. She opened the door wider and said, "Come in." I stepped inside, heart pounding. There were pictures on the wall, pictures of me, as a baby, as a toddler, pictures I had never seen before. That's when I knew. He had never stopped looking. The old woman sat me down and told me everything. My father wasn't a bad man. He wasn't dangerous. He wasn't some deadbeat who walked away. He and my mom had a bad breakup, and she left with me before he could fight for custody. He spent years trying to find me, but by the time he got close, my mom had changed my name, moved states, and made sure there was no trail. She didn't keep me from him because she was protecting me. She kept me from him because she wanted to erase him. I asked where he was now. The woman, his sister, looked sad. "He passed away last year," she said. I can't even explain what I felt in that moment. My chest got tight, my vision blurred. He was gone. Just like that. And I never even got the chance to meet him. All because of a lie. I sat there for a long time, not saying anything. The woman handed me a small box. It had my name on it, my real name. Inside were letters, dozens of them. Birthday cards he never got to send. A watch he wanted me to have. A picture of him holding me as a baby. I don't remember leaving. I don't remember driving home. All I remember is sitting in my car for hours holding that picture. When I finally walked in the house, my mom was waiting. She looked at me and I looked at her. I didn't say anything. She already knew. Now she's begging me to keep quiet, to let it go, to not tell anyone. But I can't, because I'll never forgive her for what she did.